Hello everyone. Welcome to this edition of Dishing Out Flavor with Jonquel. Today I'm going to be cooking a low-carb Cajun Chicken and Shrimp Creole. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first off, to my pan I'm going to add half a stick of butter. And let that get all melted. Once the butter is all melted, I'll be putting in my chicken thighs, skin down. If you don't want the skin on, then you can remove the skin. I don't mind having the skin on my chicken. Actually, my husband preferred it that way. Just as well, he preferred bone-in chicken versus boneless. So you can also make this with boneless chicken if you prefer. Okay, let me go ahead and finish melting this butter, and then I'll come back and add in the chicken. Okay, so the butter is starting to bubble a little bit. So I'm gonna go on and add my chicken in. Like I said, skin facing down. These are only 4 thighs, and it comes to almost 2 pounds of chicken. Okay, so I'm gonna let this continue to simmer and brown, and I'll be back in a bit. All right, we are back. Had to move the chicken around a little bit because, you know, baby, we can't have our chicken burning. That's not how we do it in NOLA. This Louisiana girl, originally New Orleans girl here. My Cajun Creole cooking can't be burning nothing in the skillets or the pans or the pots. You know, that's not a good thing. And I didn't want the chicken burning. Let me show you how nice and brown it's coming up. Look at that, baby. Just like that. That's how you do that. Woo! I already know this is going to be good. Just how it's smelling. That's how good I know it's going to be. So, I'm excited today. It's been a while since I actually cooked something for you guys. And the fact that my husband was wanting this as well, yeah, that puts me in a really good mood. So, some of the pieces of chicken was getting a little bit more love in the butter than others. So I'm just switching it around. And so once everything gets a nice little brown color the way I like on each piece, then I'm going to go on and flip these over. And then I'll add the shrimp. And then after that, I'm going to put the seasoning into here because it's already flavored. That's what I'm about, dishing out flavor. We're not gonna, you know, toss out the flavor. We're gonna make the dish. We're gonna build upon the flavor. All right, guys, I'll see you back in a little bit. All right, I've already flipped the chicken over. The butter has showed these pieces much love. Look at that, guys. That's what you want. That is what you want. And because I'm making this for my hubby, my love, you know I have to make this extra special. Because normally he doesn't really eat any of my low-carb dishes because, well, he doesn't really need to because he's not trying to lose any weight or anything. But because this is a dish from back home, he's always excited to get a lot of New Orleans flavors and stuff like that. So I definitely gotta do what I need to do for this. Let's build upon this great flavor that's already in the pan. Be back in a bit. All right, my chicken is done doing what it needs to do. See there? Got some kisses from the butter on the front and the back. Now we're gonna go on and add in the shrimp. I'm going to adjust my fire down another notch. This won't take long. My loves, this is smelling so good, so good. All right. Good. A piece of tail in there that's not supposed to be there. I want a shrimp shell tail. All right. I'm going to let this finish turning a lovely shade of pink. And I'll be back for the next step. All right, I am back. The shrimp have finished cooking. And now we're going to kick up the flavor with the Holy Trinity. So I have my bell peppers, celery, and onions. A good way to bless the food, adding the Holy Trinity in there. And just in case there's any other type of bad vibes out there, we go add in some garlic. So, little extra blessings never hurt. Alright. Shuffle this around. I did pour off some of the butter because I don't need my veggies swimming around in butter. So just enough for the veggies to soak up that little bit of butter that I did leave in the pan. Because although in the world of low carb, butter is a good thing, it truly is. Butter makes things better just like bacon does. But a certain too much oil is not good for the gut, okay, especially in my situation. And as you all know, I am all about gut health, so my stomach can't take a lot of oil and all of that. All right, I'm just going to stir this around for another 2 minutes, and then I'll be back and I'll add in the rest of the ingredients. All right, so my veggies are nice and tender. What I'll do now is I'll add in my water. And this will pretty much help deglaze the bottom of the pan, get all those bits of chicken and shrimp that was left behind, all that extra seasoning there. I'm gonna add my chicken bouillon. You guys know I have to come with the herbs and spices. Don't worry about the amounts. You know, all the measurements will be in the description section below. Going in with a little paprika. Can't have any type of Cajun or Creole cooking without a little bit of bay leaf in there. Let me get a little bit of that for you, baby. Just a little bit. All right, let's move on. Gonna add a little bit of savory. Just the teeniest little bit. If you guys don't have savory, don't worry about it. You can omit it. I'm gonna put a little bit of thyme in there. Some ground thyme. Got that going in. All right. So this here, we go hit it with a little Creole seasoning from Zatarain. Sprinkle a little bit in there. Always salt light. We can always build upon the flavors later. We don't want to have our dishes too salty. I'm going to add a little bit of that cayenne in there. Actually, that was a little bit more than a little, but in Louisiana, spices is nothing to us, so we love it. Some people can't handle it. There is, you know, occasions where some people go too far, but I'm going to rein it in today. It's not like I'm boiling crawfish. All right. So I have to defrost my tomatoes. I have some nice sized stewed tomatoes going in here. And I have some petit tomatoes going in here as well, along with the juice. That's just going to add more flavor and extend the gravy or the sauce. So we're going to add that right in. I have a little bit of tomato sauce here. I'm also adding in now, if it turns out that it's a little bit too acidic for you, you guys can add a little bit of sweetness to this by putting in 1 to 2 teaspoons of sweetener in here. If you guys were making this as a non-low carb dish, then you would just use regular sugar. All right. So what I'm going to do now is add my shrimp back in. We're going to put the chicken back in as well. And then I'll add the lid on and let this simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. Get my cauliflower rice going for myself. Get some regular rice going for my honey bunny, my love, my husband, my daughter. And I will meet you guys back here in 15 to 20. All right, everyone, everything is looking real good. Hope you all can see that. It's not like I can tilt the pot to give you a better view, but I have a mixture of my sweetener and my guar gum. I'm gonna go on and put that in. You never want to add guar gum by itself into a pot of already hot food, because it's going to clump up on you, and you don't want that. But if you mix it with like your chicken bouillon, the sweetener, some other type of powdered spice or whatever, blend those two together and then add it to your dish. And this is already starting to thicken. I want it really thick so it can be a nice gravy that sits on top of the rice for my family. I want it to sit on top of my cauliflower rice as well. So I may thicken this up just a little bit more. All right. I'll make the adjustments in the ingredients so you guys won't have to add more to it. You'll know to mix it with your sweetener at the right amount. All right, everyone. So for my cauliflower rice, I don't like to steam it because when you steam it, it doesn't really give the texture of rice, at least to me. So I like to pan fry it with a little bit of oil. Let's see if that's okay. And kind of like, especially if it's in a frozen state. And then that little bit of sear from the oil in the pan actually flavors this in a way that I like. So there's also that. And then sometimes I will toss in a little bit of butter at the end once it's dried out. So I'm going to crank up my heat just a little bit more. Get this all dried out the way I like so it can mimic rice a little bit more. Some people say that giving up rice was fairly easy for them. Not for me. It's still hard because being from New Orleans, and you think about how our food is there, you have red beans and rice. You have shrimp etouffee that's served with rice. You have gumbo that's served with rice. You have crawfish etouffee. Any type of etouffee is served with rice. You have our dirty rice. You have our jambalaya, which is a rice dish. There are just so many meals in Louisiana or the New Orleans area where rice is hardly ever not included. Even if you were to fry up some chicken and then you have some green beans or sweet peas going, you're going to serve it with rice. That's just basically growing up how we pretty much ate. Everybody in my family, in my neighborhood, practically eat that way. And then, you know, just having a little bit of Asian ancestry as well. So having the mixture of the two, yeah, giving up rice is pretty hard for me. So those days when I actually have my cheat day, I will have my cauliflower rice, but then I would then steam it in the pot with like maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of minute rice with some other herbs and stuff. And what I'll do is I'll put it in the refrigerator overnight because that's a way of lowering the carbs of the rice is when you refrigerate it overnight and then reheat it. So, and you guys don't have to take my word for it. You can do a little bit of research and find that out for yourself there about the refrigerated rice and then reheating it. I actually saw on YouTube by Dr. Mandel. He actually says that about rice and potatoes as well as pasta. So some of you guys that are having a hard time giving up rice, pasta, and potatoes, there are ways that you can have it. And then it also depends on the macros that you take in daily. I'm not trying to teach you how to cheat, but just a way that you can still have the things that you want, because some people are only turning to low carb just to eat healthier, just because they want to be gluten free, and some people don't really need to lose weight. It's just a better way of eating for them because they can't have gluten, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, this has dried out the way I like. What did I do with my butter? Did I move it? Give me just one moment. Let me go grab my butter. Hold on. Okay, I have to go and get my butter. Just the tiniest little bit of butter. can pretty much turn the fire off at this point, or turn it down really, really low. And see, by doing it this way, it actually looked like rice. I actually have like fried rice recipes, guys, that I've done with the different vegetables, adding in my soy sauce and sesame oil, and making a nice vegetable fried rice. Of course, you can always add in some chicken, some shrimp, whatever protein you would like. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and set up my plating, and I'll be back in a bit. Alright everyone, so here we have the plate with the regular rice, and then we have mine with the cauliflower rice. Not that big of a difference, other than I put a little bit of butter on here for flavor, because this rice will already have the wonderful flavor that rice has. So, just so you can see the difference. Okay. And let's go on and pieces of chicken on there first. Okay, and I'll come back and show you guys the final plating. One moment. You guys can see that going on. There we go. Now for the other one. Alright guys, here we have our final plating. Just sprinkling on a little bit of parsley for color there. There we go. And that is it. This is the one with the cauliflower rice, and this is the one with the regular rice. So if you have like people that enjoy the same thing but not completely the same way, then that is fine. So you're able to do it either way. So whether you're cooking a complete low carb meal or a low carb dish served with carbs for your other family members, it can be done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Dishing Out Flavor, where we made Cajun Chicken and Shrimp Creole. You guys stay strong, stay positive, stay focused, and as always, be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video.